you for tuning in to another episode of Jazz Cat streaming live here on Wjzz Cool TV via Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like us, follow, share, and comment. Your support and participation is really appreciated. So thank you. I'm here again tonight with the coolest jazz show on jazz culture on the coolest platform, if I say so myself. And I have a guest, a special guest here, especially in the sense that I'll be doing a concert. WJZZ will be promoting a concert with this fine musician uh, on Thursday, the 15th. So if you've been getting your tickets and you've been following us, you already know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Detroit native saxophone, jazz extraordinaire, Ivan Benning. So that's our guest tonight. So, Ivan, what's happening, man? Thank
Hey
you for
man, what's
being
up?
on the show.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you so much.
Well, I want you to know you got an open invitation. You're always here. We play your music.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you so much.
we enjoy your music and we enjoy you coming through. Before the show started, we were having some conversation, everybody. Like I said, Ivan's a Detroit native. He and I are the same peer group, different parts of town. He's from Southwest Detroit.
Southwest
For those who don't know,
prospectors.
yeah, and I'm gonna break it down. You know, we welcome everybody from everywhere, but when it's Detroit people, that's special and dear to me, and I love putting some Detroit history in there, so for the world to get an idea about the city, especially in a positive light. So we don't sugarcoat, we don't hide, we show the good, bad, the ugly, we talk about it. But Detroit is much uh, more of a cultural place than we get credit for in some parts of the world. And Ivan and I came up in the 70s. He's going to talk to you about how he got into music. But I always like for you guys, the reason I do this show and we don't focus on the music and play the music and all that, I want you guys to really know the artists and get to know them and where uh, the their perspective on everything. And like I said, so we're both Detroit natives. We're both from the west side of Detroit.
What's up?
I'm from right at soon as you cross over a border street called Woodward Avenue. You come from east to the west. I'm from right there. Everybody's Central High School, Durfee Middle School is where I went to school at. That part of the town, that's where I'm from. But he hails from way going a bit south, hence the name Southwest Detroit. So it's on the south end, close to the river, down that way. And it's recently been renamed Mexican Town because it's got a heavy Hispanic population that's kind of in charge of that area now. But they've always had that presence, especially in the part called Del Rey. But it's a little section of Southwest that's kind of in a pocket neighboring some other cities like
That's where I'm from.
River Rouge and Ecorse, and so that's like always been historically a black part of
Yes.
Southwest. So if you just hear people in general talking about it, you might only hear about the Hispanic population, but it's always been a native African American presence and Caucasian presence down there. And so I just try to give that background for the people that's trying to navigate around the city.
If I can interject,
Go ahead.
I stayed Southwest Detroit. We call the real Southwest
Okay.
Detroit. We call Southwest Detroit.
Okay.
Where the Latino community, the Mexican community is, we call that the Southwest side of Detroit.
Okay. Or hence Del Rey.
Well, Delray is a little it's east of there on the other
Right.
side of Fourth Street. That's considered in between Fourth Street and Jefferson. That would be considered your Delray in the
Yeah.
Springwell area. But what borders to what they were trying to get called South Point at one time.
Okay.
They're trying to make it its own city at one time.
Like they did with East Point.
Yes, they were trying to make it South
Okay.
Point. They had a real strong voting community, and Mayor Young didn't want to lose those votes at the time.
Right, right.
So, yep, it's surrounded by River Rouge, Ecorse, Lincoln Park, and Melvindale.
Right.
I think what not what I think, what made it, gave it a lot of notoriety when the movie BMF came out.
Yeah.
They were like, that's Southwest Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's been a strong community. It was a sports community, music, everybody knew everybody.
Right.
We had, what brought us together was roller skating, music, and sports. You know, rec sports, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In the 70s, well, I came up in the 70s, born in the 60s,
Right.
and came up in the 70s. Recreational sports was sport. It wasn't no AAU basketball. You know, you played at the rec leagues, and everyone played. And,
Right.
and then we competed against each other. And I talk with some friends now, and that's what brought the different sides together. Because if you were on the other side of Physical, you was cross Schaefer, you were in the hole, you played for one particular team.
Yeah.
You know, and we played against each other. And as a result of playing against each other for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then going to the same high school, we're like family now.
Yeah, I was smiling when you said the hole.
Yeah.
It's because I'm from here, so I know where the hole is, what about the hole, the history of it, and actually that's the part where BMF originated
Yes,
at in the
yes,
hole. And I
yes.
had a cousin that lived in the hole on Patricia.
Okay, yeah, Patricia.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Lebo.
yeah, so I was going down there where wise men feared not to go. So
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was too young and stupid, so I didn't know better. But anyway, so that's why I smiled, because I have good memories from that part of that community. I had to call that a community,
Yes,
not
it was.
not
It
a
was.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
That was a
it's community.
community.
Yeah.
Because like you said, where you were a stranger of what, no matter what age, what gender, they knew you weren't from there.
Yep. Yes,
So
yes, yes,
somebody
yes.
was gonna be questioning, why are you here? Who you with? So I had fond memories of that. In the 70s, we're the same peer
Yeah.
group. But man, I know we're gonna jump right into it because the time flies. But
Okay,
but
yes.
they I like to get that history. Like whenever we have natives here, I like to talk about the history and the memories. Um, Jazz, we could get into it, man. You are an exceptional musician,
Thank you.
and that's why I wanted to book you for our series, and we call it a legacy series for a reason. It's like I'm very discriminating when it comes to the talent. I love giving our Detroit people, because I don't want to use the vernaculars. So our Detroit artists, that's more
Yes, there
proper.
we go.
I want to give them the showcase if I can, and provided they bring the talent. And thus far, we've been getting all kind of A+ on the shows, man. But
That's what's up.
tell us, you were telling me before the show how you got into music, period. So I want to know, what was your introduction into music? And then did it start out with jazz, or what was the segue intersection into jazz?
Here we go. My mother's brothers played music. They both played guitar.
Right.
So we would go to Pontiac. My mom, she was from Mississippi, but from Pontiac via Mississippi. We'd go down there, and my uncles would play the guitar. They would play the blues. So when they asked in school, did someone you want to play a musical instrument? I raised my hand and going to the band, and all I knew about was the guitar.
Right.
And this is funny though. And I seen this gentleman walk out with this beautiful specimen of an instrument. I said, "Wow!" I said, "What is that?" He goes, "This is a saxophone." I said, "I want to play that." As a matter of fact, it was Antoine Joubert.
Okay,
It was
okay.
Antoine Joubert. So Mr. Macenzo, who was the band director at the time, we were at Boynton. You know, saxophones was few. They didn't have them a lot. And he put me on the baritone. Matter of fact, me and Dwight Adams.
Okay.
We grew up together from like the 3rd grade up to about the 9th grade before he moved to the Northwest side.
Okay.
So Dwight, I think he was playing trumpet, and I was put on the trombone. Hated the instrument. Trying to carry the big instrument, I was a tiny fella at the time. Quit band. At that point, they started busing in Detroit right around 76. So for some reason, they bused us from Southwest Detroit to the southwest side of Detroit,
Okay.
where there were, it was just a different demographic of people over there, which was cool. So I'm gonna get over to Wilson. They asked for who want to go to band. I raised my hand again. This time I knew what instrument I wanted to play. I go to band. Mr. Albert Williams, who's still alive, go to the band. There was only a few saxophonists, and so he said, "What instrument you want to play, son?" I want to play saxophone. So all the saxophones are already taken up, but I have a bass clarinet.
Okay.
So when I took the letter home for my parents to sign, it was like, okay, if we sign this letter and you break this instrument, you in trouble. So got the instrument, started on bass clarinet, because it looked like a saxophone.
Right.
I'm like, so I'm doing well. I mean, I am doing well, and I'm learning the music. Within a couple of weeks, I'm moving past a lot of people. It was coming down the stairs and tripped and hit it and broke the mouthpiece. I'm like, oh my God, oh my Lord, I mean, I'm tripping. Like, my daddy didn't play. Like, oh man. So it was a commercial out. It was a super glue commercial where the man was hanging in the air and swinging.
Crazy glue.
Right. Well, that was he's crazy glue or super glue, one of them.
Yep.
So we go to the store. I bought some super glue and fixed the mouthpiece. And when we were taking a test that Monday,
Right.
and I fixed the mouthpiece, and I was playing. I'm like, okay, this thing worked. So it was time for me to take the test. The music test. The mouthpiece, the tip of the mouthpiece closed up. It broke again. So every time I would blow the horn, it would just sound crazy. And Mr. Williams probably killed me for saying this. He had a laughing box, and he would pull the laughing box, and the laughing box would just laugh. And so laughing box was laughing at me, and the class was laughing at me, and I started crying.
Okay.
And he kicked me out of class. The next year, I had gave it up on the saxophone, and I just went to gym. I wasn't going to play music. Mr. Williams came down, got me, gave me a tenor saxophone, and said, "Man, you owe me $20 for that mouthpiece you broke." I didn't think that mouthpiece was that affordable. I just thought I broke the whole instrument.
Right.
And that's when I started playing. I started on the tenor saxophone. By this time I was in the 7th grade. My oldest brother, he got hired at Ford's. He bought me an alto.
Okay.
So I was playing alto. From there, I went to Southwestern, where that year that I entered Southwestern, I think it's 78, the fall of 78, Dr. Dokes left and went to Mumford, and Rodney Bonner took over, who was a student at Southwestern that graduated from Grambling and came back to take over Southwestern's band.
Okay.
Started playing there, and that summer, that 79, that summer, or probably the year after, either 79 or 80, I got into a program, it's a summer job program called the Festival for the Performing Arts. And Kim Weston was over it. It was a summer program, and they would teach us how to perform. Dr. Teddy Harris was the instructor over the jazz program, and his understudy was Kamal Kenyatta. And all I knew was the blues scale. I knew that blues scale, and I knew how to play Mr. Magic, and I knew how to play Sugar.
Okay.
So for my interview, I played Sugar, and I got in the band. And Dr. Teddy Harris at the time, he would just always give you knowledge, always give you knowledge. And even at Southwestern at the high school, it was it was around a great peer. Okay. In the 9th grade, I had music theory. Dr. George West was teaching music theory, so we were. I think that's around the time they started cutting the programs in the city of Detroit, the music programs in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
But that 9th grade year, I had music theory. I can do the music theory better than I can play the horn, because music theory is like math. What's the mathematics of music? I would call it that.
Okay.
So I knew how to construct major scales, minor scales. Was doing 4-part writing, this and the other. Then they discontinued it,
Okay.
and I continued, being distracted. In going through high school, breakdancing came out,
Okay.
Well, Funketeering came out. Well, no, wait.
Locking.
First, I wasn't locking. I started dancing when Flynn was out, so I was jit.
Yeah.
But then Inkster got this jitterbug, it was called the Funketeering, so I was like, and nobody in Detroit was doing the Funketeer, so I wanted to do the Funketeer, because everybody in Detroit was Flynning, so,
Well, hold your thought real quick. I got to check his station ID. Hey, everybody, excuse me, he's bringing back a lot of memories. Like I said, we are in the same age group and from the same city. And so it's a lot of things he's saying is just resonating in me. But thank you for watching Jazz Cats, the coolest jazz show in the world, playing on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Like us, follow us, leave your comments, tell us how much you love us, because I know you love us. Tell us what you want to hear, and I want you to follow us. We need to join us, follow us, do all that good stuff. But if you have some comments and things or some special requests, you can call us right now. I normally don't take phone calls, but I feel inspired. So 313-355-6018. If you want to call and reminisce with Ivan and I, or you just want to leave your comments, you can do that. The lines are open. And feel free. I normally don't, but feel free. And we're going to get back to it right now. So thank you. Hey, so I had, when you said Funketeer, it was a group. It was a locking group called the Funketeers, and they were like top notch. They were gigging and doing everything, and and I've never been a dancer, right? So I was a hater because I was like, I didn't like to see nobody else getting girls for singing and playing instruments or sports. Or now we got some dancers. So I was just into like being cool. And I had to talk. That was the only thing left for me is I had to have some rap and some game. So it worked out for me all my life. But I always was envious of the guys that had different talents for like artistic talents. But when you said Funketeer, I just remembered that.
When I seen that dance, I lost my mind. But this is how I actually got into jazz. My oldest brother, who just passed this past last year, for some odd reason, my mother let me go to his bachelor's party.
Okay, to your brother's bachelor
party. My oldest brother's bachelor's party.
Okay, and I'm assuming it was a bachelor party with the girls.
No, it wasn't.
He didn't have that?
No, it wasn't the girls. It was just, just him and his simple friends and stuff. Okay. And he had WJZZ on.
Oh, okay. Your brother was cool.
Yeah, and well, he was older, and I was like, I didn't want to listen to it. I was like, He's like, well, you here with me. This is what I'm listening to. You're going to be over here.
It's grown folks.
This is what you're going to listen to.
Right.
And, we got to plan it, and, and it was just, it was, and I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it just hit me. It was a set of songs that WJZZ played. And I woke up, I was in a lazy boy chair asleep, had me a couple of drinks, 'cause my brother was cool.
Right. I said he was cool. I knew he was cool listening to WJZZ.
But I have to say this. I said at his funeral, when I had a couple of words. I said, tell y'all this. If your oldest brother won't let you do what your parents forbid you to do, you don't need one. I said, my brother was cool.
Right.
So I woke up, and it was like I was half asleep, and WJZZ played these strings of songs. And it hit me, man. It was like I was born again. It's like I woke up, when I woke up, I was telling, and the next day, I was telling all my friends about WJZZ, and that's all I started listening to. I guess it was drawn that way because I did play saxophone.
Okay. Now, what age were you at this time?
I had been about 12, 13.
Okay.
Around 12,
so you
13.
just adolescent, getting yourself primed up.
Yeah.
Okay, for the hunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would go to my brother's house and we'd say you'd play albums. He turned me on to Michael Franks, Gino Vanelli, Patty Austin, Stanley Turrentine. I mean, he just had a collection of albums because that's basically what we did.
Right.
In the sense, you sit and you listen to albums,
Right.
You go over to friends' house, they got, man, I got this new album. You just sit back and listen to it,
Yeah.
And that's when I started, getting into jazz. Reasons we really wasn't considered jazz, but if you think about it, our R&B music had a very strong jazz influence.
I'm glad you said that. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. But finish your story. So you went there. Is that when the jazz bug bit you and
It bit me hard.
So you knew that was the lane you were gonna pursue with the music, right?
I just started loving the music, and I played saxophone. And a lot of what I would do is when WJZZ would be on the radio, I would just play with the station.
Okay.
I do that to this day. A lot of times I just, well, with records now, or I'll turn on some smooth jazz and just jam during my relaxation time. So I developed a really good ear
Okay.
by just playing different songs that came on.
Along with the tracks, the
Along with
music.
the
Yeah.
tracks. Along
Yeah.
with the tracks.
So okay. So you got bit by the bug.
That bit hard, man.
Now, when do you recall going professional or making your mind like, hey, because I know right now you're not doing it full time, I would say, but like, when did you know like I'm good enough, or like I can do this, I can get on the stage without getting beat up or
Let
booed or
me,
whatever.
okay. I was blessed to be in a lot of great situations.
Okay.
David Lloyd, a gentleman who plays piano, but his brother is Overton Lloyd. Now, Overton Lloyd is the one who drew all of the comic strips for Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
So,
history.
you know, he the one, but David Lloyd was his brother. I think his father was a professional drummer. The Lloyd father, Mr. Lloyd, was a professional drummer, and his brother plays drums for us. So he was deep into music, you know.
Okay.
So, being in Detroit, a city kid, the whole ninth grade was shot in the back in the band room.
Right.
You know, so we jamming. And so I had stopped playing. Like I said, I got the dancing, being influenced with everything like most city guys would do growing up in the city of Detroit, being presented with so many things to do, dancing, everything that comes along with being in a big city, in a fast city like the city of Detroit. We don't need to go into details.
Right.
Then I stopped playing for like about 10 years and just living life. My father passed, and who was a preacher, and my mother said she wanted me to play the saxophone at his funeral and play the song he always sung, which I knew.
Okay.
But I would periodically get on the horn and just jam, and with the radio.
To keep your skills up.
Not even to keep my skills. It's just something I would like to do.
Okay.
You know, almost like somebody like to smoke a cigarette.
Right. Gotcha.
I'll just get on the horn and mess around, by myself.
Right.
So I played at his homegoing, and the church hired me to play. Give me $150 to play. I ain't no fool.
Okay.
I'm play my horn.
Okay.
So I started playing it, but all of the influence I had with Detroit has a strong community when it comes to music.
Right.
And you can't take for granted the rich heritage that we have. Just the interactions with Dr. Teddy Harris and the people that you're around.
Mm-hmm.
You can just seize it.
Right.
You just kind of seize it. I always said, I'm not a great basketball player, but I would go different places and play basketball just because the neighborhood I grew up in had like good basketball players. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I didn't think I was that good with them. I was a scrub. Nobody would pick me, but I go somewhere else. I'd be coming down, playing point.
Because they took you to another level.
Just because when
being
you're
around them, yeah.
And being in Detroit, like we always say, it's in the water.
Right.
And being amongst that. It was destiny. I was at Street Corner Music one day, and I ran into a gentleman by the name of Kerry Lacey. And I had a saxophone charm on because I started playing. And, then in the church, they go, oh, you're good, and you're anointed, and da-da-da-da-da. Not to say da-da-da-da, because those things are important.
Right.
But I knew that there was a level that I need to get to just for the level of competition. And I was more R&B, which is good. I always say, I have a saying, I say, R&B is my wife and jazz is my mistress.
Okay.
So,
Hey.
and so, but I wanted to play the jazz stuff, or at least have them jazz chops. And when I was at Street Corner Music, it was a gentleman named Kerry Lacey, who was an upright bass player. He told me about a man by the name of Sam Sanders.
Okay.
Sam Sanders was an iconic teacher and performer and arranger from Detroit, but had went over to Africa, and he was teaching in Senegal.
Okay.
He came back home to bury his daughter, and upon burying her, he inherited 6 grandchildren.
Okay.
So he had to be here so he can get all the paperwork to move him back over to Africa. So I get Sam Sanders' number because the guy was like, man, you want to study this guy? You know Sam Sanders? I never heard of him. He's like, you want to study with this guy, man. He said, man, I don't want to be blasphemous, but it's like when the 12 apostles, when the apostles ran into Jesus, they had to stop what they doing. I'm like, oh, you comparing this man to Jesus. Let me get with this guy. Yeah. So I called Mr. Sanders up, and he says, oh, I'm having my furnace worked on. He stayed over off of stayed on the east side, off of Davidson, like in between David. Can't think of McDougal.
Okay.
Like over there, just I can't the exact location. So he said, when do you want to study? I said, I want to study right now. He bust out laughing. He said, come on over, young man. So I get over there, and I'm trying to show him I know how to play my. I done wrote all of these 2-5-1 licks out in all 12 keys. So he's smoking cigarette. He said, well, you can spend your time writing them, or you can spend your time playing them. He said, how you want to spend your time? You know.
Right.
He said, so, but he had a method, which I found out is Detroit's way of learning the music.
Okay.
It's by the numbers.
Okay.
So he told me what he gonna do. He said, he said, I'm gonna teach you how to play by numbers, and he said, I want you to let me hear all your dominant chords from the top of one to the bottom of one. So I played all my dominant chords. But I didn't play them really fluently because I wasn't playing them at the time. He said, okay, the lesson was over. He said, well, what I need you to do, young man, is you go home, I need you to play. He wrote out a chart on two sides of the whole tone scale, going down whole steps. On the other side of the whole scale, he went down whole steps. And there were 2 5s. And he said, I want you to play and follow this pattern. I said, I want you to follow this format. And I need you to play dominant scales to the top of the horn, to the bottom of the horn. And then you play your dominant chords to the top in all 12 keys. And if you can do that successfully, come back and say, you need to study every week. So if you do that successfully, I'm going to teach you, I have 7 chants. And what people call them 2-5-1s, they call them licks.
Okay. But
they have 7 chants. So next week, I get out and I lost and I paid him $35. And I get outside, I'm out there, and I said, wait, did somebody just run game on me? I ain't heard this man play. I'm out of $35. And he just gave me some instructions. So I was meeting someone down at Fishbones in Southfield.
Okay.
And when I went down to Fishbones in Southfield, it was Desi McKellen Sr. His band was playing.
I know Desi.
Yes. Well, no, but the singer, not
oh, okay.
His father.
Okay.
He was down there. So I'm just trying to figure out did I get beat or nothing. So after Mr. McKellar's set, I said, yeah, I just met a Sam Sanders. His eyes got big. He said, Sam Sanders? He said, Sam, oh, he got tunes. I was like, oh, so I know I didn't just get ripped off for $35. So that I got on them chords and them scales. I came back following the format he gave me. He wrote a chant out. It was built off the 7th degree of the dominant 7th, so it was built off the flat 7th.
Okay.
And so he wrote it out, and he told me to convert it over to numbers. And so he said, I don't want you taking the writing out in 12 keys. I want you to take the numbers out. So I couldn't play. My lesson was over. So he said, I want you to continue on the chords, the scales, and come back with the chant on the 7th degree and following the format. Came back the next week, had the 7th. He gave me the 6th. And those were like my doggy biscuits.
Okay.
Was the chants. And after going through that and just hanging out at I was in an organization called IJA. It was called the International Association for Jazz Educators. And they would have these different conferences. They would have a conference in New York, New Orleans, Toronto. And you would go there. I mean, I'm talking about all the jazz greats be there. They have jam sessions. I would just go hang out. And I went to the Blue Note. They had a jam session at the Blue Note.
In New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was a big conference. So it was a tune they was playing. I thought I could get up on stage and hang because I'm R&B at this time, right? And I get on stage, man. It seemed like no sooner my foot hit the stage, that hi-hat went out and sounded like a frying pan. Yeah. I said they had them swinging about 500.
Okay.
And I played everything I knew in about 30 seconds. I said, well, I didn't know this shit. I started breakdancing, I started funketeering or what. And I went and I was so defeated. I was like, wow, I'm so defeated. I was like, man, I said, So and that's when I was really determined to start getting into the music and everything. And after I started getting into the music, a friend of mine, just hanging out, Rudy Robinson's jam sessions. Dr. Teddy has to have jam sessions at Baker's. Then you had the R&B jam sessions that was at the Limit, where David Lee, they would have them and all the, out there Renee and all this, the Ron Otis, all the, the R&B cats would be there. So you would just, you just bouncing forth and hanging out. I mean, so you just absorbing the music. I'm sitting one day, I went through a life challenge, and I was sitting up at Kennedy Center Park in Southwest Detroit. I guess in those particular times, you just go back to your roots. I'm sitting at Kennedy Center, where I used to play baseball, Little League baseball, and a friend of mine's, Mark, called me, a guy named Mark Dixon. He said, man, God told me to produce the CD for you. I said, cool. Then that's when I came out with In Spirit and Truth.
Okay.
And with Moonlight is on it. And Moonlight just so happened to get played on Rolling with the Rhythm.
So that was your first recording?
That's my first recording. It was a whole CD.
Okay.
It was a whole CD, came out 2003. And Moonlight made radio. It was in regular rotation. Rosetta Hines was playing it. By this time, WJZZ had went out of business.
Right. She was at GPR.
Yeah, she was at WGPR. And I was getting played on every shift change. Matter of fact, the funny thing was, when I was, my wife, who I'm married to now, we first time we went out, we went to Shane Park. And I would put on a Shane Park, I couldn't be no better. And they played my song. I'm like, this me. She like, they said you, and then they said my name, right? So I guess that's the reason why she married me. I'm just joking. But it was just that coincidence.
Right.
And at that particular time, and at that point, I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I had also had the benefit of having a good career in telecommunications.
Okay, hold your thought again. Let me pay the bills. Everybody, you're watching Jazz Cats on Wjzz Cool TV, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media outlets. I have the pleasure tonight to be interviewing live saxophonist Ivan Benning, who's giving you a rundown of his whole history and everything. And thank you for tuning in, and hit that like button and comment, share, and all that kind of stuff. Follow us. But Ivan, before we pick the story back up, we got you in concert.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So give everybody an idea of why they need to be at this concert Thursday at the Jazz Cafe.
Well, for one reason, it's Valentine's weekend. And if you need something to do special, the perfect venue and the perfect opportunity to show your significant other a very good time.
Yeah.
And also just great music and great time. I've always been successful at knowing how to create a good time. Doesn't necessarily mean about me and what I play, although I'll be playing, but it's about the presentation and making sure that everybody just enjoy themselves.
Well, we appreciate you for that. And like Ivan said, the Aretha Jazz Cafe is located inside the historic Music Hall in downtown Detroit. He's in concert. He's the featured artist for this Thursday, February the 15th. And like he said, it's a post-Valentine wrap-up. So for you real lovers and players out there, hey, you just follow it through. Just follow it through. You still keep it going. She's going to love you for that. It's a very intimate, very classy place where you can take your special lady and be comfortable. And the show is going to be spectacular.
Yes,
you can get the tickets are on sale right now. We got a few tickets left. And when I say a few, I mean a few.
They're going fast.
Yeah, so it's go to our website, WJZZDetroitRadio.com. You can go there and check out all the details and get some tickets, or you can get the link off our Facebook page, WJZZ Jazz Radio on Facebook. You can find us out there, or you can call the station. But hey, I'm saying, if you really need something to do, you want a nice, intimate date that's affordable, that's going to make a big impression, then you want to include this concert for this weekend. You can just start Valentine's Day and take it all the way through the weekend. So I promise you, as the promoter, I promise you it's going to be a good show. And you just heard the man himself tell you it's going to be a spectacular show. And you could just tell by his stories that he's sitting here. He takes his playing serious, everybody. So, share this with a friend so they can appreciate the music and the talent. So I just want to put you up on it. So if you miss it, you just have to look at the pictures and everything that we post up, and everybody have to tell you what a great jazz concert you missed. So please get your tickets now. WJZZDetroitRadio.com. It'll take care of you. So hey man,
Yes.
get back to the where you left off at before we get out of here. Uh, you was just talking about how you had a challenge, a life challenge, and you overcame it. That's what motivated you to put out your first recording, and I guess that went successfully. You got on the radio,
Yeah.
and you did it again. You got notoriety. The people started knowing you in mass. Um, and since then, how would you like tell us about your travels? Where has this jazz taken you?
Okay.
Like I know you left off saying that you were fortunate you had a day job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I guess that's a good career move that you didn't want to give up. So that even put more strain on you as a musician. But at least you know you got a steady check because a
Yes.
musician's life can get rough
And I have a
sometimes.
family.
Right. So, but where has jazz taken you in your travels and highlights of your life? Because you named some interesting people. Teddy Harris, a master
Yes.
in the history books. Then you Dwight Adams, talented jazz player from Detroit, and you mentioned a couple other names. But let us where did this journey? How's it taking you? So, name some of the places and the people.
Well, basically, locally in the United States,
Okay.
New York, Toronto, New Orleans. The cool thing about, or anywhere I go, I take my horn with me.
Okay.
And my wife, she lets me. So, I always get the okay from her.
Okay.
But she's fine with it. And just to be able to go places and just show up at a club and they let you sit in and they find you from Detroit and you do well. California, I mean, just locally. I haven't really been
So
out of this
that's a
stage,
true thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician, but I grew up always around artists, and I've been hearing this all my life. That wherever you go with your horn or your guitar, whatever, when you say you're from Detroit, that gives you a shot. They
They
give
let
you.
you sit in. They let you sit
Okay,
in.
so that's
Yeah,
true
yeah.
about Detroit musicians,
Yes.
but the expectation is there.
Yes, yes.
So
And
who?
to be able to fall into different situations. When you go to different cities and they let you sit in, and just that conversation that goes on musically.
Okay.
It's a great situation. It's something to be able to, and the places it take it's more so it's more so than just physically, it's spiritually.
Okay.
So the places the music have taken me spiritually, and the places the music have taken me mentally, is to the stratosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Let's take a quick pause and mention how they can listen to your music, purchase your music, plug where to get it from.
Yeah. Well, my In Spirit and Truth are on all your local outlets. iTunes. It's on CD Baby. You can download it. Apple Music. Brighter Days was my last. No, Summer Nights was my last release. But right before Summer Nights, I came out with Brighter Days, which is featured on the commercial. And the story behind Brighter Days was I got busy in life with the family, and I was working on some music which Mark Dixon was working with me producing. But I got let the noise of life come in and distract me. And my sister, Kathy, she's like, "What you doing with your music?" I'm like, "Girl, I got some things in the works, but I got, Ivan is in private school down. I got, I haven't been able, and my job is very demanding." And she said, "You know something, Ivan?" She said, "You know what you make on your job. You need to give God something He can bless and that He can multiply." And a week later, my sister passed.
Okay.
And so I recorded Brighter Days. I went on to finish Brighter Days
Okay.
and came out with it. I started working with an artist. Well, he's not an artist. He's an entertainer. Billy Metals. He had a great studio. I don't know if you knew Billy
No,
Metals.
I don't know.
He's an entertainer, but he had a studio, and some of the top Detroiters have came worked in his studio.
Okay.
Anybody as far as R&B, matter of fact, Lynn Roundtree, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misquote, but if I'm not mistaken, do you remember Lynn Roundtree?
Yeah, of course.
Trumpet player.
You're right.
His first CD was done at Billy Metal Studio.
Okay.
You know, and so Billy just passed.
Oh, okay.
Billy just passed. And I'm going to. I don't want to just use his name, but I would like to dedicate this show to Billy Metal.
Right.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
Yes.
And you know I like Brighter Days because
Yeah.
I picked it to
Thank you.
be on the promotion, not knowing that story. So now I'm glad
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But I liked it, so that's why I put it on the promo.
And I still like writing. I ain't gonna say I still like writing in the tradition form,
Okay.
AABA, and some music today only follows a certain form, which is not bad. But I still like music that has changes and bridges and vamps.
Yeah, you know.
Takes you on a journey.
And I had to
Not
say
saying
this.
other music don't.
No, but listen, like I like this show to be real, and I understand. I understand artists don't want to down other artists and things like that. So we talk in general terms. But as a promoter, I have to be able to run a business,
Yes.
and I have the reputation. So I gotta make sure that it's got to work for me
Yes,
all the
yeah.
way around. And here's the thing, man, like when you say you like changes and things like that in the music, it just bothers me that I can, like, nowadays I can listen to some music. It doesn't matter if it's jazz, R&B, whatever. I'm gonna hear drum tracks and all types of computerized stuff, and they all sound the same. I don't hear the creativity in the music. I don't hear the pain. I don't hear the love. I don't see the life challenges or hear the life challenges in the music. I don't feel anything coming from the music. It's just bland, and it's like, it's, in my opinion, a lot of the artists chasing success or chasing hits that some other artists had, or I like everybody wants to be a sax player now.
Mm-hmm.
And then and with this quote unquote smooth
Mm-hmm.
sound, and it's like, okay, show me something like besides the basic 101. Let show me something. So that I said that to say, out of my frustration as a fan and a promoter, as an artist, without, just in your opinion, closing this out because we got a couple minutes. Are you excited and enthused about where jazz music and culture is going, or do you see it sliding back out of favor? I ask because I'm doing everything I can to drive value to the culture and push it globally, but I need something to work with.
Right.
So what's your opinion of the state of jazz as it is today?
Well, state of jazz, I have no problem with it going if it went back underground. We have some cats out here that can play, young cats, Detroit.
Yeah.
There's an underground movement that's moving like, I guess, a volcano. It's erupting. Deshaun Jones. I mean, these cats, they're playing the music. What people can, a lot of the smooth jazz people, they can play, but the format that's dictated for them, to get on that format, and that's what's being popularized, or that's what's being promoted, or that's where all the attention is drawn. I don't think there's never really been. It's been a suppression on one to uplift another. They never gave everything a fair playing field.
Right.
If I'm trying to choose my words here,
Yeah.
when the business aspect of smooth jazz came out, I felt like it was a business model. They didn't want anybody. They didn't want anything to grab your attention where you distracted. They wanted something that can be played doing work that would not grab your attention. You could still be productive. which really took fire because it was being played all over. It was, King G, which is an excellent player, and playing simplistic things, and who is a professional at what he do.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem like they took that model and how I heard a pastor say, Nimrod built with bricks. And he was saying, I just use it, I don't want to offend anybody who's maybe religious.
Right.
But he said Nimrod built with bricks. And he just, part of the reason why God cursed what Nimrod did is because Nimrod built with bricks. And all a brick is a manipulated stone. He said all bricks are the same. And it's easy to build with bricks. He said, but stones are different. And it's not as easy to build with stones as it is to build with bricks. Mm-hmm. So that was the business model. And so in my opinion, the people who were the controllers, what they now call the gatekeepers, they started, if you didn't play like this, they would not. They didn't when the smooth jazz format came, they wouldn't play there's one track Gerald Albright did. It was called Giving Myself to You.
Okay.
And I can't think of the actual song, but I called in, and it was a nice song. It had changes, and it was like, but it was just as quality, but they would not play it.
Okay.
They would not play it. I called into the jazz station and asked them to play it. They would not play it, and it was just as good. And it was as quality, and so that, in my opinion, was the, if I say downfall, or what lack people interest in.
Right. Because it's a turn off when not only all the music sound the same and you can't distinguish as you could before a Lee Morgan and a Miles Davis and a Freddie Hubbard. You can't.
Their voice.
I mean, yeah,
Their voice.
like they all had hits and they all were masters, but you could tell if you really were into that culture, they had signatures.
Yeah, their voice.
And you could tell. And even the energy and the vibe of their bands was different.
Right.
Miles was always pushing, and he's going to bring in cats you never heard of,
Yes.
but you going to get turned on because he had a standard. One, you see the dude on stage with Miles Davis, he must be good.
Yeah.
So you can rest in that. Then when the guy cut loose, you say, okay. And then he made a name for himself outside of the band. Now, it's people that I personally know never made their own record yet.
Yeah.
They just happy to be on tours with people or to be in the studio. They get a call up to come to the studio and a ticket, and that's what they do. Then they go back to their regular job, and they can really play. But they don't have, in my opinion, the artistic, creative spirit, going back to what you said, the spirit to push them in some other direction instead of playing it safe. And then another thing, hearing the same song 5-6 times a day. I get it. We all got to make money. And
I said, Nimrod built with brick.
Right. So like here at the station, I want to do things to help cultivate money, because you have to. It's a business. But I'm trying to find the balance where I can push artists and satisfy management and the people that invest in that without boring the audience and so we got to turn on people. We got to educate. Like you mentioned, and then I'm gonna close, give you the last word. But I didn't know what a baritone clarinet was, bass clarinet. I didn't know what a bass clarinet was until a couple of days ago. Nina Simone Bentley is the one who put me up on it, showing me some photos of Marcus Miller.
Yeah, Marcus Miller plays
I
bass
knew,
clarinet.
but I only knew Marcus Miller as a bass player.
Right, yeah.
And I saw these pictures, and I said, "Oh,
And he plays soprano
right."
sax.
I said, "I didn't know he played a saxophone."
Yeah.
She said, "That's not a saxophone. That's
Oh,
a bass clarinet."
Right,
and I
right.
was like, "You sure?" And I'm asking her, no, because I'm used to seeing a clarinet.
The black licorice.
Yeah. And she
Liquor stick.
was like, no. So that was the first time that I got up on it. And I'm so appreciative when people like yourself and then you share these stories and everything to educate, man. So we give the last word. Plug yourself, plug your music, what you got going on.
Well,
so
what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug you. Because, something, to have the love to bring these call letters back to the city of Detroit. WJZZ iconic. I mean, that goes a very long way. And when I heard that those call letters was back home, man, you just don't know. You just don't know. I mean, to go there and people, a lot of people talk.
Yeah.
You know, and they all I love to be, but you went out there and you brought it back home.
Well,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate you for
You
that,
brought it
man.
back home, and whatever I can do to continue, because I'm telling you, I have some moments with WJZZ, memories. I have to tell the story. Today
We got a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying real quick. I'm talking fast because I know it. Like, I was going to graduate from school. I always say I like school so much I went an extra year.
Right.
But the year I was going to come out, there was a big car accident on my street. That next morning was going to be graduation. And there was a big car accident. Went out and tore up about 4 or 5 cars. Man, I'm drunk. Everything. I went outside and looked at. So I went back home to get in the bed. I had a big old radio up under my pillow. And they played, I can remember, they played the whole Gino Vanelli, Storm at Sunup. Gotta keep on. I mean, it was like those moments. WJCZ was create those moments to make you bite your lip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, or at nighttime, I mean, our culture, we listen to the hip hop, we listen to the Parliament Funkadelic, but after 2, after you just stopped at Coney and got you some Coney's and some White Castle, and you're heading home, and you have on that Z.
And you know one thing else before we say goodnight, and when you got a woman with you.
Oh yeah, you got home with the
you
woman.
got to step the game up.
Yeah, you throwing that Z. Man, I'm telling you, boy, throwing that
But
Z.
hey man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate sincerely the personal compliment, and that's what we're trying to do. Create some more moments, create some history, and all I want from you, man, is blow them away Thursday, man. Blow them away Thursday. So hey everybody, you heard him say it. We ran over a little bit tonight, but you heard him say this is gonna be a special treat, not only for Valentine's weekend coming, but also for what the station meant to him, WJZZ. So if you really like jazz, if you really love jazz and consider yourself cool, you better get your tickets right now. So with that said, everybody, thank you again, and we appreciate you. See you next week. Good night.